They say a house makes noises at night. Wood creaks, pipes groan, the wind slips through cracks. But when the Johnson family started hearing the scratching under their farmhouse, it wasn't the sound of a house settling. It was steady, deliberate. It sounded like something alive, something waiting. And when the smell came thick, metallic, like raw blood left in the sun, they knew it wasn't rats. Not rats at all. The summer heat in rural Texas was brutal that year, pressing down on the land like a weight. The Johnson farmhouse had stood for nearly a century, all pale wood and sagging beams, set far back from the road where the grass grew tall and the cicadas screamed in the trees. The family Tom, his wife Marianne, and their teenage daughter Lily had moved there 6 months earlier, desperate for space, for quiet, for the chance to rebuild after what they'd lost. But the house wasn't quiet anymore. It began with the smell. Marianne was the first to notice it in the kitchen as she prepared dinner one evening. She wrinkled her nose, sniffing at the air. "Tom, do you smell that?" Tom was hunched at the table, oil-stained hands resting on a plate of cornbread. He sniffed, shrugged, probably a dead rat in the walls. Old houses always have something rotting, but Marianne wasn't convinced. The smell was too sharp, too thick. By morning, it had spread, filling the hallways, seeping into the bedrooms. Lily gagged when she woke, covering her nose with her blanket. "It smells like blood," she whispered. They searched the house from top to bottom. Tom pulled open cabinets, checked the crawl space under the porch, even walked the perimeter outside. Nothing, yet the smell lingered. Then came the scratching. It started faint like claws on wood, dragging slow, steady. At night, just when sleep began to blur the edges of thought, it came again. Long scrapes, then silence. Short bursts, then silence. As if something below the floor was pacing, listening. "Probably raccoons," Tom muttered, though his voice betrayed doubt. Marianne pressed her ear to the floor one night when the sound woke her. She jolted upright, pale as paper. "It's not raccoons," she said. "It's bigger." By the third night, Lily refused to sleep in her room. She curled on the couch with her blanket, trembling when the noises returned. Marianne tried to soothe her, but she was shaking too. Tom was the only one who still tried to explain it away. Old house, old wood, pipes, critters will set traps. But even he couldn't hide his unease, especially not when, on the fourth night, something wet pressed against the cracks between the floorboards. It was Lily who saw it first. She'd gotten up for water, her footsteps soft on the old boards. In the hallway, she froze, glass slipping from her hand, shattering. "Dad," she whispered. Tom came running, eyes narrowing as he followed her trembling finger. A pale, wet shape bulged between the boards. It slid forward, retreating when he stepped closer. For a heartbeat, he thought it was a snake, but then he saw the texture stringy hair matted against pink flesh, and teeth. Tiny, human-like teeth clattering against the wood as if gnashing. "What the hell?" Marianne screamed, dragging Lily back as Tom stomped forward, boot crashing down on the spot. The thing retreated with a sickening squelch, sliding back into the dark beneath the floor. Silence followed, thick and choking. None of them slept that night. The next day, Tom went into town, buying traps, poison, anything that might explain anything that might fix it. He crawled under the porch with a flashlight, sweat dripping into his eyes, shining the beam through every gap. He saw nothing, only dirt, beams, darkness. But he felt watched. When he crawled back out, Marianne was waiting. Her face was pale, lips trembling. "Tom," she whispered. It spoke. He froze. "What?" "Last night, after you went back to bed." I heard it whispering, right under the floor, by the couch where Lily was sleeping. I thought I was losing my mind, but I swear, Tom, I swear it said. She choked on her words, tears welling. It said her name. Tom swallowed hard, trying to brush it away. "You were tired. You imagined..." No, Marianne snapped. It said Lily over and over in a voice I recognized. Her voice cracked, breaking the air like glass. It was his voice, Tom. It sounded like Jacob. The name hit like a hammer. Their son. The boy they'd buried 3 years ago after the accident. Tom's face drained of color. He shook his head, too fast, too desperate. No, that's not. But that night, when the scratching began again, Tom pressed his ear to the floorboards himself. And when the whisper came, wet and low and wrong, his whole body went rigid, because it was Jacob's voice. Daddy, let me in. The voice haunted Tom long after it stopped, clinging to him like smoke. He sat up in bed with his hands over his face, trying to breathe. Marianne hadn't slept either. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her hand clutching the cross necklace she always wore. By morning, the house felt poisoned. Every creak of the wood, every shift in the air carried tension. Lily clung to her parents, terrified, refusing to go near the hallway where she'd seen the thing. We're leaving, Marianne said flatly over breakfast, untouched plates between them. Today, I don't care where. We'll stay in a motel. We can't stay here another night. Tom wanted to agree. His chest ached with it, but pride tangled in his throat, mixed with disbelief. We can't just run. It's our home. We bought it, we put everything into this place, and it's not safe, Marianne snapped, slamming her hand on the table. The sound made Lily flinch. You heard it, Tom. You heard it. Don't stand there and pretend. I know what I heard, he said quietly, staring at his coffee. His hand trembled. But Jacob's gone. It can't be him. Whatever's under there, it's not him. Lily's voice was small, almost swallowed by the silence. What if it is? Both parents froze. What if he didn't really die? What if he's been here under us? Her eyes brimmed with tears. What if he's been trying to come home this whole time? Marianne pulled her into her arms, shushing her, stroking her hair. No, baby, no, that's not Jacob. It's something else. Something trying to trick us. But Tom couldn't look away from the floor. That night he sat awake in the living room, shotgun across his knees, ears straining for every sound. At 2:13 a.m. the scratching began. Slow, steady, crawling closer. Tom's jaw clenched. He aimed the barrel at the floor as if that would matter. Then came the whisper. Daddy. The same voice. The same soft tone Jacob had used when he was small, tugging on his father's sleeve. Tom gritted his teeth. You're not my son. The whisper grew louder, stretching the words. Daddy, please, I'm so cold. Let me in. Please, Daddy. Tom's stomach turned. His hands shook. He wanted to believe, desperately, so badly it tore something open inside him. But he forced the words out. You're not Jacob, Jacob's dead. For a long moment, silence pressed heavy. Tom thought maybe he'd scared it away. Maybe whatever it was would retreat. Then the floorboards bulged. Wood groaned, nails popping loose. Something wet shoved upward between the gaps. A pale, glistening finger curled onto the surface, skim gray and stretched too tight. Another finger followed, jagged teeth embedded where nails should be. They scratched the wood as the voice grew louder, gurgling, breaking. Daddy, I'm hungry. Tom fired. The blast shattered the silence, splintering wood. The thing shrieked high, piercing, inhuman. He fired again, smoke filling the room, ears ringing. Whatever was beneath thrashed violently, the floorboards rattling as if the house itself was alive. Then, with a wet sucking sound, it retreated into the dark. Silence fell, broken only by Marianne and Lily's screams from the bedroom. They didn't sleep. They didn't even move until dawn. By morning, Tom had made his decision. They packed hastily clothes, food, whatever fit in the truck. Marianne's hands shook so hard she could barely zip the bags. Lily cried silently, clutching her stuffed bear. Tom slammed the last bag in the bed of the truck. We're leaving. No arguments. But when he turned the key, the engine sputtered, died. He cursed, tried again. Nothing. Marianne's eyes widened. Tom, I'll fix it. He jumped out, lifting the hood, but as he did, a sound drifted across the yard. Scratching from beneath the truck. Tom staggered back, shotgun raised. The smell hit him, neck's thick, rotting meat, stronger than ever. Marianne yanked Lily toward the porch, screaming. Then something long and wet slid from beneath the truck. Pale, hair matted, studded with human teeth, it stretched across the dirt like a slug. It didn't lunge, it reached, curling toward the house. Inside, Tom shouted. They bolted for the farmhouse, slamming the door shut just as the thing slapped against it with a sickening thud. The wood shuddered, dust raining from the ceiling. They locked every window, every door, retreating to the upstairs hallway. The smell followed, clinging to their clothes, their skin. Hours passed. The house groaned under the heat of the day. Then quiet, Lily whispered, "Is it gone?" No one answered. As night fell, the scratching returned. Not beneath them, not outside. From the walls, something moved inside the house now, sliding between beams, dragging itself closer. Marianne covered her mouth to keep from screaming. Lily sobbed into her chest. Tom gripped the shotgun, sweat dripping, eyes darting. The voice came again from inside the walls, inches away. "Daddy, open the door." The voice slid through the walls like a draft, curling around them, impossible to escape. "Daddy, Mommy, let me in. I'm so cold in here, so hungry." Lily buried her face against Marianne, sobbing. Marianne pressed a shaking hand over her daughter's ears, whispering prayers, voice breaking. Tom aimed the shotgun at the wall, finger trembling against the trigger. "Show yourself," he shouted, though the words felt useless. The scratching answered. Nails, no teeth, dragging across wood, gnawing at the beams. A section of the plaster bulged outward, cracking. Tom fired. The blast ripped through the wall, spraying dust and splinters. For a moment, silence. Then the laughter began. Not Jacob's voice anymore. Something lower, wetter, bubbling like air rising through swamp water. The sound shook Marianne to her core. "It's not him," she whispered again and again. "It's not him, it's not him." The house groaned. Boards rattled. The thing was everywhere now, filling the walls, the ceiling. They could hear it sliding, shifting. Sometimes a hand pressed against the wallpaper, leaving wet smears that bled through. Sometimes a face bulged out, half-formed, sagging, stretched too thin, eyes rolled white. By midnight, the Johnsons were trapped in the upstairs bedroom. Tom had nailed the door shut, though each slam of the creature against it loosened the hinges. They huddled together, the smell of rot so strong it made their eyes water. Then, without warning, the house went silent. The cicadas outside stopped. Even the wind seemed to vanish. Tom's chest heaved as he tightened his grip on the gun. "It's waiting," he whispered. Lily whimpered. "For what?" Before Tom could answer, a sound rose from beneath the bed. Not scratching. Not whispering, breathing. Wet, ragged, too loud. Lily screamed as something pale slid from the shadows, hair dripping, skin glistening. Its face was half-formed, teeth studded where eyes should have been, jaw hanging wrong. But the voice was Jacob's again, soft and pleading. "Daddy, Mommy, please." Tom fired point blank. The blast rocked the room, ringing their ears. The thing shrieked, thrashing backward under the bed, slamming against the floor. The boards cracked, splintering, and in an instant it was gone, dragging itself back into the dark below. Silence again. Tom reloaded with shaking hands. Sweat dripped into his eyes, his arms trembling so badly he almost dropped the shells. "We can't stay here," Marianne said, her voice sharp, breaking. "We have to run, now, before it comes back." Tom nodded, but his eyes flicked to the window. They were 2 stories up. Outside was nothing but black fields and the lone dirt road. If the thing was under the house, it would be waiting. Still, staying was worse. At 3 a.m. they made their move. Tom pried the window open, lowering Lily down first with a rope of knotted bed sheets. Marianne followed, clutching the girl. Tom climbed last, shotgun strapped to his back. The night was heavy, hot, and wrong. The cicadas hadn't returned. No sound at all, except for the smell. The stench was stronger outside, coating the air like oil. They ran across the field, grass whipping at their legs, dirt crunching underfoot. The truck still sat in the driveway, useless. The nearest neighbor was 5 miles down the road. They had no choice but to run. Behind them, the house moaned. Wood snapped. Windows shattered outward as if something inside was too big for the walls to contain. Tom forced them forward, his breath ragged, chest burning. Marianne clutched Lily, whispering prayers between sobs. Then Lily screamed. Tom whipped around, shotgun raised. The thing was crawling from beneath the house. Not just an arm, not just a face, but its whole body. Long, slick, glistening, hair matted with mud and blood. It dragged itself across the dirt, limbs bending the wrong way, teeth gnashing. Its torso split open with each movement, ribs snapping apart, spilling black fluid into the grass. And the voice, always the voice, "Daddy, don't leave me. I'm your boy. I'm your son. Come back." Marianne sobbed, shaking her head violently. "That's not him. That's not Jacob." Tom aimed and fired, shell after shell tearing chunks from the thing. But each wound sealed with a wet hiss, the flesh knitting together again, stronger. They ran, down the dirt road, stumbling in the dark, lungs burning. The smell followed, filling their noses, their mouths. The whisper slithered along the road ahead of them, curling around their minds. "Daddy, Mommy, Lily, don't leave me behind. Don't you love me anymore?" Lily tripped, falling hard to the ground. Marianne dragged her up, screaming, "Run!" But Tom froze. The voice had changed again. It wasn't begging now. It was laughing. The laughter echoed across the empty fields, bouncing from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was Jacob's laugh, bright, childish, but warped, bubbling with wetness, stretched too long. It crawled into Tom's ears, into his chest, twisting something deep inside him. "Tom!" Marianne screamed, yanking his arm. "We have to keep moving." He blinked, dazed, and forced his legs forward again. They stumbled down the dirt road, the old farmhouse shrinking behind them, but the thing didn't stay. It followed. It moved faster now, dragging its body along the road with sickening speed, arms clawing into the dirt, pulling the mass forward in lurching bursts. Its face shifted as it crawled, sometimes Jacob, sometimes unrecognizable, a blur of mouths and eyes, melting and reforming. Lily screamed again. "It's catching up." Tom whirled, fired another round. The blast tore through the creature's chest, but the hole only writhed, pulling itself shut. It didn't even slow down. "Run!" Tom shouted, voice raw. They ran until their throats burned, until their legs gave way beneath them. The road stretched endlessly, the black fields on either side empty and endless. Then, finally, a light ahead, a porch light. Marianne nearly collapsed with relief. "Oh, God, someone's home." She dragged Lily forward, sobbing. The farmhouse loomed ahead, newer than theirs, paint white under the moonlight. They stumbled up the steps, pounding on the door. "Help us," Marianne cried. "Please, open the door." Footsteps inside, a lock turning. The door cracked open, a man's face peering out. "What the hell? Let us in. Please, it's after us." Tom shoved against the door, dragging Marianne and Lily inside. The man barely had time to protest before Tom slammed it shut and threw the lock. "What's going on?" The man demanded, staring at their dirt-streaked faces, at Tom's shotgun. Before Tom could answer, the scratching started. On the walls, the windows, the roof, the man's face drained of color. "Oh God, not again." Marianne's breath hitched. "What do you mean, not again?" The man didn't answer. He grabbed his wife, who'd just appeared from the hallway, clutching a child in her arms, and shoved them toward the back of the house. "Get in the cellar, now." The Johnsons stood frozen, confused, until the sound came again. Not scratching this time, knocking, from every wall, every window, every surface of the house. "Daddy, let me in." Lily screamed, clutching Marianne's leg. Tom raised the shotgun, but the other man grabbed his arm. "It won't stop. You can't kill it." His voice broke, full of something darker than fear. "We tried. God help us, we tried." The walls bulged. Faces pressed through the wallpaper, teeth gnashing, eyes rolling. Dozens of faces, all children. Marianne screamed. "What is it?" The man's eyes filled with tears. "It doesn't want to be one thing. It wants to be everything. Every child, every family. And once it learns your voices, it never lets go." The ceiling cracked. Something wet and massive dripped down. A hand punched through, pale and slick, fingers tipped with human teeth. The other man shoved his family into the cellar, yelling at the Johnsons to follow, but Tom shook his head. His chest heaved, eyes fixed on the thing tearing into the house. "Go," he rasped to Marianne. "Get Lily out." "No, Tom, go." He shoved them toward the cellar door, slamming it shut behind them just as the ceiling split wide open. The creature poured into the room, its form shifting, writhing. A mass of hair and teeth and eyes, and at the center, a face. Jacob's face. "Daddy," it whispered, smiling. Tom lifted the shotgun, tears streaming down his cheeks. "You're not my son?" The blast shook the house. Down in the cellar, Marianne and Lily clung to each other, sobbing. The sounds above were chaos splintering wood, inhuman shrieks, gunfire. Then silence. For a long time, they didn't move, didn't breathe. Finally, the other man cracked the cellar door. The house above was destroyed, walls caved in, roof collapsed. Smoke hung in the air. Tom was gone, no sign of the thing. Marianne stumbled into the ruins, calling her husband's name until her voice broke. But there was nothing, only silence, until the floor beneath her feet groaned. A whisper rose from the cracks, soft and familiar. "Mommy." "It's me. It's Daddy. Let me in." Lily screamed. Marianne froze. Tears ran down her face as she pulled her daughter back toward the cellar. The other man slammed the door shut behind them. His hands shook as he turned the lock. "It doesn't stop," he whispered. "It never stops." Above them, the scratching began again.